It all started with the Senate wanting to probe corruption allegations against the Bureau of Immigration, leading to two senators engaging in a near fist fight. That was soon resolved. But the tussle, it seems, is not ending there. Senator Richard Gordon tells Pinky Webb on The Source senators who voted against the move to let the Committee on Rules decide on the fate of the immigration probe should leave the majority.
It seems you have an opposition in the Senate, masquerading as part of the administration. They have to take their mask out. If they really are in the opposition, then they should say so. And they should act in unison, as they have been acting in unison in all issues. And most of the issues, or all of these issues, practically are against the administration.
Gordon adds if they are in the opposition, they should stay in the opposition.
Are you saying that they should bolt out of the majority? Is that what
I
you're
think
saying?
so. I think they should do that. And that's my own take on that.
Members of the majority who voted against the measure were Liberal Party members Franklin Drilon, Bam Aquino, Kiko Pangilinan, Laila de Lima, and LP ally Risa Ontiveros. Minority Leader Ralph Recto also rejected the move, along with Minority Member Antonio Trillanes himself, whose committee was being sought to lead the probe instead. But Drilon says there's nothing wrong with voting as a bloc.
Is it against democratic rules that we vote as a bloc? That is always a practice in legislative bodies. And we are exercising our prerogative as members of the party.
So you answer the LP will stay with the majority?
Unless the majority decides otherwise.
De Lima says it's mere coincidence that they vote as a bloc, as they tend to have the same positions on certain issues.
When there is a division of the House, we are thinking along the same lines. Dahil magkakapareho siguro yung prinsipyo namin. Hindi ibig sabihin sinasadya namin yan, ay kunukontra.
You should not be stymieing the majority. You can be critical, why not? There should be harmony. There should be harmonious relationship. We must provide a conducive environment in the plenary, in the sessions, so that we can move forward and be able to pass the necessary legislation that will help the country.
For Senate President Coco Pimentel, he says the majority is intact.
Naintindihan ko po yun na pwede kami maghati-hati doon. Huwag kami maghati-hati sa substance ng aming common legislative agenda of the majority. Pero yung mga tactical who shall lead this investigation, this is part of politics.
Ana Estanislao, CNN Philippines.
Kainitan at naghamuran pa sina Senador Antonio Trillanes IV at Senador Juan Miguel Zubiri. Nangyari po yan sa plenaryo kanina. Pati mga kasong hinarap nila dati ay naungkat. Narito ang pagtutok ni John Sandro.
Kinailangan ng umawat ng mga kasamahan nila sa Senado matapos magkainitan sina Senador Juan Miguel Zubiri at Antonio Trillanes IV sa plenaryo kanina. Ang nagngingit-ngit na si Zubiri, hinila pa palayo kay Trillanes. Nagsimula ito nang tumayo si Zubiri para iprotesta ang pahayag ni Trillanes sa panayam kanina sa programang News to Go. Sinabi kasi ni Trillanes na nais daw ni Zubiri at Senador Richard Gordon na i-whitewash o pagtakpan ng investigasyon ng Senado sa korupsyon sa Bureau of Immigration matapos daw ireklamo ang pag-refer sa resolusyon sa Civil Services and Government Reorganization Committee ni Trillanes imbes sa Justice Committee na pinamumunuan ni Gordon.
Gusto nilang sila yung maging hahawak ng hearing na sa ganon pwede nilang ma-whitewash kagaya nung nangyari dun sa EJK hearings dun sa mga nakaraang buwan.
I will never be a part of any whitewash. I take offense in that, Mr. President. I'm glad that the gentleman took offense because if the statement was meant to be offensive, so at least he feels something.
Naungkat pa ang mga kasong kinaharap ng dalawa noon, ang electoral protest laban kay Zubiri dahil sa di umunoy pandaraya sa 2007 elections na nauwi sa kanyang pagbitiw sa Senado at kasong rebelyon laban kay Trillanes na nauwi sa kanyang pagkakakulong.
As we recall, especially the Senate President, back in 2007, he in fact resigned from the Senate because he was proven to have cheated during the 2007 elections.
I never cheated in that elections. People cheated on behalf of the team unity at that time, and they are now in jail. The gentleman also is accused of rebellion and treason. He's only lucky that the former president, pardon him.
Naghamunan na ang dalawa.
If you want to declare war, then you should be prepared to have war. And this representation will not back down.
I'm glad that he declared war. But you know, Mr. President, mabait akong tao. And people know me. I'm one of the most amiable senators of this chamber. But don't, if you pick a fight with me, I'll fight. I did not become world champion in armies for nothing. If you want to fight, tell me how you want to fight. Say it in front of my face.
Nang mag-break ang sesyon, nilapitan ni Zubiri si Trillanes at mas nagkainitan pa ang dalawa. Hinila ng Senador Manny Pacquiao at iba pang senador si Zubiri. Matapos ang mahigit kalahating oras, bumalik ang mga senador sa sesyon. Ipinabura sa Senate records ang mainit na sagutan ng dalawa na kalaunay nagkamayan.
We agree that that I was not part, that I'm not part or privy of any whitewash. I and Senator Gordon as well, as he's voicing to me, and that we agree to an investigation, and I will support the gentleman from Bicol.
Nire-resolve pa ng Rules Committee kung ang Justice Committee ni Gordon o ang Civil Services Committee ni Trillanes ang mag-iimbestiga sa korupsyon sa immigration. Pero si Gordon, magkukusa na raw na imbestigahan ng issue sa January 23 bilang chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee.
Yung Blue Ribbon pwedeng gawin motu proprio basta corruption. Ang issue dito, corruption. Nagkaroon na nga ng putukan dito. Sabi ko, sige, imbestigahin na natin.
Mr. President, today I stand, or I rise rather, on personal and collective privilege. This morning when I woke up, several friends of ours in the media had said that one of our colleagues had accused us of whitewashing a possible bribery scandal probe by delaying or taking away the jurisdiction of a particular resolution from their committee. As a matter of fact, Mr. President, I have a copy. It says here, Senator Trillanes accuses Gordon and Zubiri of whitewashing the Bureau of Immigration bribery scandal probe. Mr. President, I take offense that one of our colleagues would lay claim that we are whitewashing a particular investigation. Never in my 9 years as House of Representatives member, and many of you were my colleagues in the House of Representatives, and 4 years as a member of this August chamber, have I been accused of whitewashing, stalling, stopping any sort of investigation, Mr. President. What had transpired yesterday, Mr. President, was a discussion on the rules of the Senate. Being a former majority floor leader of this August chamber for 2.5 years, Mr. President, I clearly recall that when there are particular issues taken up about the cabinet portfolio of a particular committee, or the equivalent of the cabinet portfolio, whether it is the modernization, the expansion, the reorganization of a particular agency, it was always given to the mother committee, Mr. President. So when I saw yesterday that there was a plan to discuss the modernization of the Bureau of Immigration, or reorganization of the Bureau of Immigration, clearly recalling that it is a bureau under the Department of Justice, I stood up. But I did not accuse anyone of any plan for any wrongdoing, whatever their agenda was. Mine was merely raising the rules. As a matter of fact, I said it quite diplomatically, as I place a high value on the amity existing in the Senate as a body. And therefore, let me quote what I said yesterday, and these are direct quotes from the stenographer. Mr. President, with due respect to all members, on our proposed Senate Resolution number 256 on the possible reorganization of the Bureau of Immigration, would it not be prudent to also refer it to the Committee on Justice and Human Rights? Because the Department of Justice has jurisdiction of the Bureau of Immigration. I did not even make a formal motion, Mr. President. I just wanted to throw it to the body. I said it, I just like would like to throw that question to the body, Mr. President, and would like to ask the majority floor leader for his opinion. Well, Mr. President, after doing my research, I found out we have Senate Bill number 85, already under the Committee on Justice, on the Philippine Immigration Act, for the improvement, reorganization of the Bureau of Immigration, Mr. President. We have Senate Bill number 501 of Senator Sonny Trillanes to strengthen, professionalize, modernize the Philippine immigration system, also referred to the Committee on Justice, Mr. President. And then we have of our dear honorable colleague, Senator Frank Drilon, Immigration Act of the Philippines, which proposes to reorganize the Bureau. It is already referred to the Committee on Justice. So, this strengthens my motion yesterday to refer it to the Rules Committee. Because what happens now? Who listens to the reorganization? 3 bills already referred to the Justice Committee, and then you have another one in the Civil Service Committee. I am not putting any aspersions on what their plan is. I don't care. If they want to investigate, investigate. They want to raise hell in their committee, I don't care. Mine was just to discuss rules, Mr. President. And that is why I question that. Now, what I do care about is the accusation that we are whitewashing the planned investigation of the Bureau on Investigation. Now, I take offense on that, Mr. President. And I do not know what should be done. Will it be taken up by the Ethics Committee, or the gentleman involved apologizes to this representation? But mine, Mr. President, is that I am not a defender of any faith. I am independent. As you know, Mr. President, I'm not even a member of the PDP Laban. On issues of national government, we differ on many topics. On the increase of taxes, I'm against. With the death penalty, I'm also against. With the change of the Constitution, I'm in favor of a constitutional convention, which is not what they want, as they want a constituent assembly. So, how dare people say that we are the defenders of the faith? In the last administration, I can point out several here are defenders of their faith. But have I ever raised that issue? No. And saying that we whitewashed the scandal, does it mean the 14 of those who voted to refer to the Committee on Rules for lengthy discussion is also whitewashing a possible probe on the Bureau of Immigration scandal? No. I do not believe Senator Manny Pacquiao or Senator Grace Poe or the distinguished gentleman from Cavite, Senator Lacson, will dare whitewash any investigation. They're not party to any whitewash. It's not fair, Mr. President. As a matter of fact, I don't want to take too long with this manifestation. Mine is just, Mr. President, that there's no such whitewash, there's no such plan. I never spoke to Senator Gordon about it. As a matter of fact, I was just alarmed when I saw it in the items on the agenda. I raised the issue, I brought it to the floor, we made a vote, we decided as a body. We did not even decide to bring it to the committee of just Senator Gordon. We decided to bring it to the Rules Committee, which was the proper action at this point in time when there is confusion on which committee will handle that particular topic, Mr. President. And to finish this, you know the sad part, Mr. President, yesterday I said before any more hateful phrases or statements be made by any side, and before I make the proper motion, and then I made the proper motion to bring it to the Rules Committee, people, our colleagues, go out to the media and take it to town. I do not know if he was just misquoted, because our friends in the media have a capacity of doing so that we be fighting each other here like it's the year of the chicken. You know, in 2 weeks' time, baka gusto nila cockfight. Hindi naman tama yun. So I hope the gentleman was misquoted. Maybe it will give him an opportunity to correct the statements that are coming out online and in the radio and TV. But just to prove to you, Mr. President, that I am not privy to any whitewash, I will make motion today, formally, as a member of the Blue Ribbon Committee, that Senator Gordon immediately hear the bribery scandal case, Mr. President. And I will actively attend. That I commit to this body, Mr. President. And for whatever outcome of the Committee of Rules, I will respect the decision of our chair, Senate Majority Floor Leader Tito Sen. But at the same time, I move that we, members of the Blue Ribbon Committee, investigate immediately, as the Blue Ribbon Committee can motu proprio take this up. I will never be a part of any whitewash. I take offense in that, Mr. President. Thank you to my distinguished colleagues.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of Senator Trillanes?
Thank you, Mr. President. In physics, as they say, if there's an action, then there is a counter reaction. And that's what happened. They blocked the referral to my committee, and therefore, they should expect me to react on the matter. And I'm glad that the gentleman took offense, because if the statement was meant to be offensive, so at least he feels something. And I would like to take offense, on the other hand, on his statement that he was never being accused of any impropriety, because, as we recall, especially the Senate President, back in 2007, he in fact resigned from the Senate because he was proven to have cheated during the 2007 elections. So he should not dare.
Mr. President?
I still have the floor, Mr. President. So if you want to declare war, then you should be prepared to have war. And this representation will not back down to people like the senator from Bukidnon. And that's it. That is my position, which I articulated in the media. I believe I have earned that right to say that. And no senator should be barred from speaking his mind in front of the media. So that's my piece, Mr. President.
You know, Mr. President.
Thank you for that manifestation. Yes, back to Senator Zubiri.
Mr. President, I never cheated in that elections. People cheated on behalf of the team unity at that time, and they are now in jail. No cases were filed against us, all 12. If you take and you say that all those people in Maguindanao had cheated for 12 senators, some of them are sitting here today. Why accuse only myself on that particular issue? The gentleman also is accused of rebellion and treason. He's only lucky that the former president pardoned him. Mr. President, being the defender of the faith, he pardoned this gentleman and became a rabid defender of the faith. As a matter of fact, he attacked several of our colleagues and those who were not, who were considered opponents of the faith, with rabid accusations that have not been proven. As a matter of fact, been dismissed on the courts, left and right. As a matter of fact, he made an accusation that your party mate, the president, has 200 million in bank accounts. Where is that now? Bring that out. File the cases. Open to the public. I'm glad that he declared war. But you know, Mr. President, mabait akong tao. And people know me. I'm one of the most amiable senators of this chamber. But don't, if you pick a fight with me, I'll fight. I did not become world champion in Arnis for nothing. If you want to fight, tell me how you want to fight. Say it in front of my face. Don't say it in the media. Come out here. Say it. But to accuse me of whitewashing, hindi tama yan. I just proved to you, Mr. President. What will happen now to the Senate Bill number 501 of Senator Trillanes? It's the organization of the BI. Hindi ba forum shopping yung isa? Yung isang committee report, ay yung isang resolution? The chairman of the Committee on Justice should take offense. It's like if I take an education bill and disguise it as a trade and industry bill, wouldn't Senator Bam Aquino take offense in that? Of course he'll take offense in that. In my 9 years as legislator in the House of Representatives and my 4 years, almost 5 years now as a senator, I have never heard of the committee of Senator Trillanes tackle investigations dealing with corruption. If it was problems with delivery of goods of particular public servants or yung non-action on benefits, yan, civil service po yan. But I've never heard an investigation case as high and as problematic or as dramatic as the issues involving Bureau of Customs, Bureau of Immigrations, the BIR, the Department of Agriculture, the topics discussed previously by Senator Lacson on the PDAF scam. Civil service was never mentioned. It was always the Blue Ribbon Committee, Mr. Chair, Mr. President. That is the proper committee, Mr. Chair. But I am not privy to any whitewash. And I take offense about him claiming, declaring war. Anong klaseng war ang sinasabi niya? I mean, you know, we are all here working as hard as we can. But one thing that I do not agree is that we falsely accuse one another for particular, to take advantage of particular sides, Mr. President. I just want to put that on record to our colleagues. Now, whatever he says, I just want him to know. There was no whitewash. There was no whitewash. And I'm not about to whitewash anything. As a matter of fact, have I attended the previous Justice Committee hearings? Have I ever stopped him from speaking, or have I ever countered any of his statements in the Justice Committee, as I'm also a member? Never. Never, Mr. President. And whenever I'm interviewed and asked about our particular colleagues' reactions on particular issues, I always tell them they have the right to say that. I never say they're grandstanding. I never say that. They have an agenda. They want to remove the president. They want to make him unpopular. I never say that, Mr. President. I have never said that. That's why we're also asking for respect amongst our colleagues, Mr. President. I think respect given is respect taken. We also have to give and take, Mr. President. So I hope the gentleman from Bicol will understand where I'm coming from. Because I am not about to, as a matter of fact, I could have moved yesterday to already refer to a particular committee. We could have had the vote if we wanted to. Ayan ang mahirap. Pero as a former majority floor leader, the proper course of action, if there is a debate on the floor, which committee handles it, it is referred to the Committee on Rules. That is the proper action, Mr. President. Now, he could have accused me of whitewash if I did that, and I referred it to a particular committee, which I think is not friendly to a particular side. I did not. As a matter of fact, I withdrew my motion, Mr. President. It was Senator, the majority floor leader, who made the motion. I withdrew it in deference to the majority floor leader. So I hope the gentleman from Bicol understands that, Mr. President.
Okay, before we continue, the chair will allow a clash of ideas with words as our ammunition, but please be reminded of Section 93. Acts and language which offend a senator or any public institution shall be deemed unparliamentary. Just a friendly reminder from the chair. What is the pleasure of Senator Trillanes?
Well, just a brief rejoinder, Mr. President.
Please go ahead. And I hope that after this, we can put an end to the issue.
I will not belabor the issue about the procedure yesterday. Just 2 points. or 3 points. First, yes, I was accused of rebellion, and I'm proud of it. I believe it's one of the shining moments in my life. So it's a badge of honor. Thank you. Now, as to the accusations, I believe the gentleman is referring to the investigations against the former Vice President Binay, which, incidentally, the Senate President was the sitting chairman of the subcommittee then. So, if there was some hint or insinuation that it was a was this a propaganda or just an attack on the person of the Vice President, then it should also be directed to the Senate President. Now, as to the accusation that or the claim that I accused President Duterte of having 200 million pesos in the bank during the campaign, well, let me correct the gentleman. My statement was he had 2 billion pesos in deposits in his name. So that's a correction, a big correction, and it would be presented later on. And in fact, it's one of the attached documents of the plunder case I filed against the President at the Office of the Ombudsman. So just to inform the defender of the faith. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for that information. Anyway,
I would like to strike that off the record, the defender of the faith, Mr. President, and him calling me a cheater. I so move, Mr. President. If he objects, let's put it on the vote.
Majority Leader, how do we proceed?
Well, Mr. President, we will have to second the motion of the gentleman because what transpired definitely violates Section 93 and Section 94 of the Rules of the Senate. You cannot use offensive language. And the gentleman from Bicol, who I was about to favor in my committee ruling, admitted that he really meant to offend. And the gallery laughed when he said that. I distinctly remember that. So it is an admission of guilt. So before that happens, I will have to second the motion of the gentleman to strike off the record these statements, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
For discussion, Senator Trillanes.
Well, first, the statement that the gentleman was referring to were statements made outside
Right, that's correct.
the halls of the Senate.
Yeah.
And it was, if it was offensive to him, well, I have accomplished my objective because it was meant to be offensive. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and tell him that I hope you did not take offense because that's the objective of that statement. Now, as to the words that will be stricken off the record, let us review first the transcript because he also used the same words directed to this representation. So fair is fair, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I did not, when I said defenders, there are defenders of the faith here. I did not accuse you. You just said now in your parting statement to the defender of the faith. I did not. Yes, but I did not mention you.
Senator Secretary, can
Mr. President.
I interject? Senator Trillanes, I think, wants time to go over what have been said so that he can also make his own motion to strike off some words. So,
Mr. President, may I just make a clarificatory statement? When I said earlier, sabi ko, there are those here who are also accused of being defenders of the faith. That's different from saying that he was a defender of the faith. So now, I would like to strike off what he said in his last parting statement.
yes.
And the same that he said that I was a cheater. Wala na tayong magagawa doon sa whitewash. Kasi sa whitewash, Mr. President,
Can we give him also time so that he can also make a proper motion?
Before we go into a suspension that I would move for, Mr. President, let me just place on record so that our colleagues and the presiding officer can look into the interpretation of both sections.
Yeah.
When you say Section 93, action language which offend the senator or any public institution shall be deemed unparliamentary. You are correct when you said that offensive language was said in the media and not in the Senate. So that will not fall under this category. But Section 94 is very clear. No senator under any circumstances shall use offensive or improper language against another senator or against any public. Ano ibig sabihin ng under any circumstances? So with that, Mr. President, I move to suspend at isipin natin mabuti yung mga sinasabi natin bago tayo
Any objections? Senator Trillanes is raising his hand. Yes, sir.
Just one point along the lines mentioned by the majority leader. The words used, the phrase used there was were offensive words, not offensive in terms of feelings. I did not use offensive words. So there is a difference. Yes. He felt offended, but I did not use offensive words. Just to clarify, Mr. President.
Thank you for that clarification.
Anyway, as I said,
any objection
this would be
to the motion?
yes.
There being none, session is suspended.